You do everything they tell you to do. You wake up and reach for the feed, scrolling through the overnight calamities and the morning's mandatory outrages. You plug in the podcast during your commute, absorbing the thoughts of experts on subjects you'll forget by lunch. You keep multiple tabs open, a digital testament to your intellectual curiosity. You are connected, you are engaged, you are informed. And yet, you feel a constant, low-grade hum of anxiety, a frantic energy that never resolves into action. You feel perpetually behind, as if you're running a race with no finish line. Your mind, once a sanctuary, now feels like a cluttered attic, stuffed with disconnected facts, other people's opinions, and the ghosts of 1,000 forgotten headlines. You are saturated with information, but you are starving for wisdom. You blame yourself, don't you? You think you need a better productivity app, a more efficient note-taking system, a stronger will? You believe your inability to focus is a personal failure, a defect in your character or your cognition. This is the first and most insidious layer of the deception, because that anxiety you feel is not a bug in your system. It is the intended feature of another. That feeling of being overwhelmed is not a sign of your weakness. It is a signal flare fired from the deepest, most sovereign part of your consciousness. It is an alarm bell telling you that you have been sold a monumental and deeply destructive lie. The great lie of the information age. The lie is this: the more data you consume, the smarter, more effective, and more powerful you become. Every notification, every breaking news alert, every podcast downloaded whispers this seductive promise. And it is this very promise, this unquestioned article of faith in modern life, that is hollowing you out, making you not smarter, but dumber, more agitated, less capable of deep thought. Consider this. Studies suggest the average person now consumes over 34 gigabytes of information, or 100,000 words outside of work every single day. We are drowning in data. But has this deluge produced a generation of enlightened polymaths? Or has it created a civilization of twitchy, distracted, and perpetually outraged dependents? So I ask you, what if the path to true intelligence isn't through more, but through less? What if getting smarter first requires you to choose ignorance? To understand the architecture of this prison, you must turn to a prophet. Not a mystic from the desert, but a media critic from Queens named Neil Postman. Decades ago, long before the first iPhone hypnotized the globe, he issued a stark warning. He saw the trap being built, and he drew us a map of its inner workings. He is our guide to exposing this lie. Postman's prophecy was not the Orwellian one we were taught to fear, the world of book burning and state censorship. He saw a more subtle, more terrifying threat, the one described by Aldous Huxley. A world where no one would need to burn books because no one would want to read them. A world where we would be controlled not by pain, but by pleasure, where we would come to adore the very technologies that undo our capacity to think. He titled his diagnosis, "Amusing Ourselves to Death." And that is precisely what you are doing. The fundamental deception is that you believe you are engaging in the act of informing yourself. You are not. You are engaging in the act of amusing yourself. The medium of delivery, the flickering screen, the endless scroll, the staccato rhythm of the news cycle has one primary goal: to keep you watching, not to make you wiser. This is the uncomfortable truth. The platform doesn't care if the content is a profound political analysis or a video of a cat falling off a chair. To the algorithm, both are identical. They are just content fuel to keep the engine of your attention running. And because the trivial is easier to produce and consume than the profound, the trivial always wins. It crowds everything else out. Postman identified a devastating concept: the information-action ratio. For most of human history, information was tightly bound to action. News of a coming storm meant you had to board up the windows. News of a predator meant you had to run. The information had immediate, tangible relevance. It was valuable because it was useful. Now, look at the information you consume. A political scandal in a foreign country, a scientific breakthrough you don't understand, a war on another continent, a celebrity's messy divorce. You are flooded with information about problems you cannot influence and events that have no direct bearing on your life. Your information-to-action ratio is completely out of balance. The result of this imbalance is not empowerment. It is a state of learned helplessness, a deep and corrosive impotence. It makes you feel engaged while ensuring you remain passive. You can have a strong opinion about everything, but you have agency over almost nothing. This constant state of agitated paralysis is the source of your anxiety. It is the hum of a mind spinning its wheels in a ditch. Look at your phone. Look at the endless scroll. It is not a library of human knowledge. It is a slot machine for dopamine hits. Each swipe of your thumb is a pull of the lever. A war crime, a dance challenge, an ad for socks, a political outrage, a recipe for banana bread. There is no context. There is no hierarchy of meaning. It is a chaos engine designed to shatter your focus into 1,000 tiny pieces. So let's reframe this. You don't have an attention deficit. You are the target of a multi-trillion-dollar attention theft industry. Your inability to read a book for more than 10 minutes is not a personal failing. It is a conditioned, neurological response to an environment that has trained your brain to crave novelty and shun depth. This is not a glitch in the system. It is the system, operating at peak efficiency. But the lie goes even deeper than that. The mechanics of this trap are new, powered by silicon and fiber optics. But the blueprint is ancient. The war for your mind is not a modern invention. To see the true depth of the deception, we must travel back nearly 2,000 years to a different kind of empire and listen to another prophet who saw the same disease in a different form. His name was Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, a playwright, the tutor to the monstrous Emperor Nero. He was a man who had to practice mental and spiritual sovereignty every single day just to survive in a world of absolute power and lethal paranoia. He was not a theorist in an ivory tower. He was a warrior on the front lines of sanity. In his letters, Seneca diagnosed the same sickness you feel now. He warned his friend Lucilius about the danger of being an informational glutton. He wrote, "Everywhere means nowhere." When a person spends all his time in foreign travel, he ends by having many acquaintances, but no friends. He saw then what you are experiencing now, a mind spread so thin it loses all substance. He saw men who would rush from library to library, devouring scrolls, collecting facts and quotes, just as you collect bookmarks and podcast episodes. He warned that this constant flitting from one author to another, without pausing for digestion, only clutters the mind. He said, "The man who is everywhere is nowhere." What was his antidote? It was a piece of advice so radical, so counterintuitive to our modern sensibilities, that it sounds like heresy. He said it is better to read one great book 100 times than to read 100 great book 100 times than to read 100 books once. Why? Because Seneca knew that wisdom is not an accumulation of data points. Wisdom is transformation. It is the result of deep, meditative, and repetitive engagement with a foundational idea. It's about letting a truth sink from your head into your bones, into the very marrow of your being, until it changes the way you see the world. Now look at how our world has inverted Seneca's wisdom and sold it back to you as a virtue. The culture celebrates the person who has read the summaries of 100 business books but has embodied the lessons of none. It praises the voracious reader who consumes 5 books a week but cannot articulate a single original thought. You have been conditioned to believe this shallow consumption is learning. You collect facts, trivia, and talking points like a magpie collects shiny objects. You can sound smart at a dinner party. You can drop a reference in a meeting, But this is not knowledge. It is what Seneca would call spiritual indigestion. You have feasted on an endless buffet and have been nourished by nothing. This too is a mechanism of control. A mind that only skims the surface is a mind that is easy to manipulate. A mind that cannot distinguish the vital from the trivial will chase whatever shiny object the system dangles before it. It will be consumed by the latest outrage, the latest trend, the latest empty promise. So let's reframe this again. That stack of unread books by your bedside is not a symbol of your intellectual curiosity. It is a monument to your programmed anxiety. That endless podcast queue is not a tool for self-improvement. It is a prison of other people's thoughts, a wall of noise preventing you from ever hearing your own. You have not built a second brain. You have been convinced to outsource your first. You now see the prison. You see the bars made of infinite feeds and breaking news alerts. You see the smiling guards described by Postman, and you understand the ancient philosophy of control identified by Seneca. The trap is total. The lie is complete, so the question becomes inescapable: how do you break out? The answer is not a new app. It is not a digital detox weekend that you post about on Instagram. It is not a more color-coded calendar or a fancier to-do list. These are merely ways of rearranging the furniture in your cell. They are bargains you try to strike with your jailer. The true escape requires a more radical, more terrifying act. The antidote is a concept so powerful, so contrary to the dogma of our age, that it sounds like a sin. It is the path of deliberate ignorance. This is not the ignorance. This is not the ignorance of the fool who knows nothing and is proud of it. This is the strategic, disciplined ignorance of the wise. It is the ultimate act of intellectual and spiritual sovereignty. Deliberate ignorance is the conscious and ruthless decision to ignore that which is irrelevant, trivial, toxic, or distracting to your purpose. It is the active, daily curation of your attention. It is declaring that your mind is not a public square for any passing opinion to shout in, but a walled garden where only the most vital ideas are allowed to be planted. It is not about knowing less. It is about knowing what matters and knowing it deeply. It is about building a fortress around your focus. It means choosing that one great book over 100 articles. It means having one deep, uninterrupted conversation over reading 1,000 angry comments. It means committing to one meaningful project instead of chasing a dozen fleeting curiosities. Let us reframe your problem one last time. You do not have a time management problem. You have a meaning management problem. Your calendar is full, but your life feels empty. You do not need more information, you need a stronger filter. In the new economy of the mind, your not-to-do list is infinitely more important than your to-do list. What does this look like in practice? It means ruthlessly unsubscribing, deleting apps, turning off all notifications forever. It means choosing to be out of the loops on the daily drama. It means having the courage to say, "I don't know and I don't care," when asked about the latest manufactured crisis that has zero bearing on your life. Imagine your mind is a garden. For years, you have let the chaotic winds of the internet blow every random seed into it. You have allowed every weed of outrage, every thorny vine of trivia, every poisonous nightshade of anxiety to take root. Now, the garden is an overgrown, tangled mess, choking the life out of the few precious flowers you once tried to plant. Deliberate ignorance is the act of getting on your hands and knees and beginning the painful, arduous work of weeding. You have to pull out things that seem interesting, things that your neighbors are all talking about, things that glitter with the dew of novelty. It is slow, thankless work, but it is the only way to clear the soil. It is the only way to create space for something true and beautiful to grow. And so, the choice is now yours. It is laid bare before you. You have seen the architecture of the trap. You understand that your anxiety is not a personal pathology, but a political and economic product. You can see how your very desire to be smart has been hijacked to make you scattered, docile, and dumb. Here is the final uncomfortable truth. The world will not save you from this. The platforms are designed to addict you. The media is designed to agitate you. The culture is designed to distract you. The system profits from your mental slavery. Waiting for them to change is like waiting for a casino to beg you to go home and save your money. It will not happen. The path forward is a declaration of independence, a quiet, personal war on triviality, a rebellion fought not with slogans, but with silence. It begins with the simple, revolutionary act of turning things off, of choosing boredom over stimulation, of being blissfully, strategically out of the loops on the noise of the day so you can be in the loops on your own life. I will not lie to you. This will be painful at first. You will feel the phantom itch of the notification. You will feel the pull of the feed. You will experience a profound fear of missing out. But this is a withdrawal symptom. It is the ghost of your addiction crying out. Push through it. Suffer it. Because on the other side of that discomfort is not emptiness. It is presence. It is clarity. It is the sound of your own thoughts, a voice you haven't heard in years. Your mind is the last sovereign territory you own in this world. Everything else can be taxed, regulated, or taken. But your attention, your focus, your inner world, that is yours to command. Reclaim it now. Starve the distractions to feed your depth. Read Seneca's great book 100 times. Build something with your hands. Solve a problem you can actually touch. Stop consuming and start creating. Stop reacting and start acting. Stop amusing yourself to death and start the hard work of living a life of wisdom. This is the end of the lie that more is better. This is the beginning of your real education. The choice, as always, is yours and yours alone.